If this is your first time in this room, or if you have entered here regularly, or not so regularly, for weeks, months, years, decades even, I welcome you to worship in the Unitarian Universalist Church of Charlotte. You are here among others who, as we just heard, laugh, cry, feel hunger and pain, love, hate, hope, and dream. We're all bruised and scarred, seeking passion and joy. We're here to breathe together, to take stock of our lives and to listen for some call that might beckon us ever closer to what we hold most dear. You matter. You matter. Each one of us enriches this gathering with our presence. You matter. We're embarking today on a new journey defined by our theme for this year, what we hold most dear, exploring and integrating our individual and collective spirituality. It will be an adventure of discovery, delight, challenge, and joy. It will be an experience intended to enliven and to transform us. As we prepare to sing, turn to someone near you and tell them, you matter. I'm glad you are here. Welcome.
of love shines upon each face, the light that guides us deeper into what brings us most alive, illuminating all that binds us one to another. With this light, we kindle our chalice flame, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our reading is an excerpt from the poem Corners on the Curving Sky by June Jordan. Our earth is round, and among other things, that means that you and I can hold completely different points of view and both be right. The difference of our positions will show stars in your window I can't even imagine. Your sky may burn with light, while mine, at the same moment, spreads beautiful to darkness.
On the morning commute to school, our teenager often asks, "Can I play my music?" I nod, grip the wheel tighter, brace for the blare. Thrice, 21 Pilots, 3 Days Grace, Fall Out Boy come throbbing out of the speakers. Some of it is quite good. Some of it turns me into my dad from decades ago. The role I was never going to play. The scowling, turn that down, harumphing, you kids and your music, muttering, old, really uncool father. Now, it helps in those moments to recall that I've subjected our kid to not a little of John Coltrane's thoroughly atonal late works, a transcendent set of recordings my sister-in-law once derided as sounding like a high school band tuning up. They've also had to listen to more than a little Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, whose soaring kawaii is so inspiring, but something some might find a torturous sound created to exact a confession from some unwitting captive. If we were to play your music today, the music that really brings you alive, what would it be? Opera? Otis Redding? Old Town Road? Rap, reggae, Rhapsody in Blue, or the Ramones? Mariachi or the shakuhachi? Does Lizzo set your foot tapping, make your skin crawl, or leave you wondering, who? Papa Wemba, Mama Maybelle Carter, the Lennon Sisters, the Allman Brothers, or Sly and the Family Stone? Beyonce and Jay-Z, the Beatles and JT, or Beethoven's Minuet in G? What is the music of your heart? No matter how strongly you feel about a particular genre or a particular artist, you probably realize not everyone likes my music. We're not bothered by the wide variety of musical taste, even when we wonder, how could anyone like that? So if I say the word music, we'll each have a wide range of preferences, associations, and experiences. And isn't that part of what is so wonderful about music? Today we begin our focus on spirituality. At this outset, I'd like to suggest that what is true of music is at least as true for spirituality. We here don't all follow the same spiritual path. We don't even have the same assumptions about spirituality. In this spiritual community, that is, or at least that should be, no more of a problem than the fact that some of us will opt for Grieg, some for gospel, and some for the Grateful Dead. Words attesting to our deepest experiences are usually expansive, outstretching simple dictionary definitions. When we can use the very same word, love, to describe an emotional reaction to our puppies, our parents, our pasta, and a particular pair of pants, the dictionary definition of love isn't all that helpful. When we can use the very same word, hope, to express our desire that our team win a game, our friend recover from an illness, our day not be ruined by rain, and our world be filled with justice, the dictionary definition of hope isn't all that helpful. I invite us this year to imagine that the words spiritual and spirituality are just those kind of multifaceted, complex, even contradictory words. You may have a preference that our experiences here be more spiritual or less spiritual. And you may know what you mean by that. But what's spiritual for you may not be spiritual for someone else. Just as what they find completely attuned with spirituality may feel completely unrelated to spirituality for you. Consider, for starters, Brené Brown, who writes that spirituality is recognizing and celebrating that we are all inextricably connected to each other by a power greater than all of us. And that our connection to that power and to one another is grounded in love and compassion. One way to think about it. Then there's Carl Sagan, who asserted science is not only compatible with spirituality, it is a profound source of spirituality. When we recognize our place in the immensity of light years and in the passage of time, when we grasp the intricacy, the beauty, the subtlety of life, then that soaring feeling, that sense of elation and humility combined is surely, Sagan writes, is surely spiritual. Dolores Huerta, who co-founded the United Farm Workers with Cesar Chavez, makes no distinction between activism and spirituality, attesting people have to understand that nonviolence has a strong spiritual power. You can't see it, but it's there. And it does influence, and it's very, very effective. Assata Shakur, one of the fiercest of activists, the woman who, having escaped from prison, has long lived in exile in Cuba, echoes that connection. Spirituality, she writes, has been important to me because at periods of my life, there's been very little else that I've had going on. I've actually needed to call on and to feel the forces of good in this universe in order to survive. Her nephew, the late rapper Tupac Shakur, whose music was often graphic, disturbing, once explained, "My music is spiritual when you listen to it. It's all about emotion. I tell my innermost, darkest secrets." Many poets, novelists, painters, and photographers are motivated by their spirituality and are expressing their spirituality in their work. So when the remarkable artist and activist Faith Ringgold spoke of bringing a spiritual and sculptural identity to her work, she's in very good company. The resolute humanist Felix Adler, founder of the ethical cultural movement, didn't deny the import of spirituality. Convinced that God had absolutely no place in his spirituality, Adler has influenced many Unitarian Universalists with his conviction that moral badness is self-isolation, is detachment. Spirituality, Adler writes, is consciousness of infinite interrelatedness. And while there are those among us also convinced that God has no place in the spiritual landscape, Rebecca Parker, my friend and colleague and the former president of Star King, our Unitarian Universalist Seminary in Berkeley, is equally convinced otherwise. Spirituality for Parker is most definitely rooted in a relationship with God. In forma, that ancient Hebrew mandate, Parker's notion of spirituality insists that there must be communities of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. Who call on the strength, she says, of soul force to heal, transform, and bless life. These are just a few quick strands in the kaleidoscopic variations that we might weave into a tapestry of our collective spirituality. We're tipping our hand a bit with the theme, what we hold most dear. This is in part how we'll be invited to reflect on what is spiritual for us individually and collectively. What matters most? What is at the heart of who we are? Or, as we regularly ask in our Credo series, to what are you giving your heart? And with the notion of not just exploring, but also integrating our individual and our collective spirituality, we offer another hint. Spirituality seems to have something to do with connection to the various parts of our individual lives, to those we love most, for us as a spiritual community, with all of humankind, connection with the whole planet, and beyond. As Bell Hooks has it, spiritual life is first and foremost about a commitment to a way of thinking and behaving that honors principles of interbeing and interconnectedness. Come with your heart and your mind open. Come with your own perspective, willing to share freely with the rest of us. Come listening generously, willing to hear and consider things that may challenge and even transform your perspective. Come expecting joy. Experiences offering heart, soul, vitality. Come willing to participate actively in the work of integration, weaving your perspective with others here. Let us together craft a vibrant, multi-hued tapestry in which the cool blue of your contemplative side is woven in with the bright red of someone else's impassioned commitment to justice. And these two plated with the vibrant green of nature's draw, the mysterious ebony of unknowing, the shimmering alabaster of mystical light. Our warp and our weft blending in ever greater complexity. As our choir sang to begin this service, we are one world, one people, and we all breathe the same. In the darkness of the night and in the glory of the morning, we walk along the path and find our way. May it be so. As you entered this room today, you were invited to select an object. And I invite you now to take that object out and hold it in the palm of your hand. Notice its shape, its texture. Notice its color, the way the light interacts with your object. Notice the feel of it in your palm. For just a moment, I invite you to think of this object holding all of what you hold most dear. Think of your object representing the people in your life who mean the most to you. Think of this simple object reflecting what you love the most, what you're most passionate about, the legacy you hope to leave, the values that define your life. Imagine this simple object carrying all of that power. Each of us is defined not just by our individual lives, but by those with whom we interact, with those with whom we share a community. What we hold most dear is often shaped and reshaped by those around us. So today, I invite you to share your object. You'll see a table before you, and on it are already quite a few objects. They symbolize the fact that when each of us arrived in this congregation, we found already a vital place of beauty. It's because our forebears created this for us. There was a place to come to already, and their lives are reflected before us. I'm going to invite you, when you're ready, to come forward and add your object alongside those already on this table. Allowing what you hold most dear to be influenced by what others hold most dear, as together we create the beautiful tapestry that is this congregation. Now, there may be someone sitting near you who will find it difficult to come forward, and I invite you simply to reach out and carry their object forward for them. It may be difficult for you to come forward, and I invite you, as you see someone walking toward the table, simply to allow them to carry your object for you. When you're ready, in the quiet of this room, I invite you to come and share what you hold most dear alongside that of others in this congregation. Join in with the choir. I need you to say, I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I invite us to a time of meditation and aspiration. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit breathing in each of us and in all. We pause in the often relentless rhythm of our lives to remember. We remember on this day all the reasons we have to feel grateful for all that enlivens and enriches our lives. Thank you. We remember on this day those we love most who are suffering. May the love we feel transmit our concerns, our care, our compassion. We remember on this day those beyond our intimate circles who are suffering. For the people of the Bahamas, for those on our own coast, for all victims of war and violence, for those who are oppressed simply for who they are, simply because of some specious notion called race. Simply because of their place on the wide spectrum of gender. Simply because of who and how they love. We pray. May that mystical bond, binding each to all, transmit our love to those needing some reminder that their lives really matter. May that bond, the entwining power of compassion, be present here among us as a spiritual community. May we recognize our need for one another. May we determine that we will not harm one another with words from our mouths. May we know that we are indeed all a part of God's body. These things we pray in the name of all that we hold most dear. Amen.
Thank you for your presence here, for your voice in the midst of our singing together, for the stories and experiences you add to the mosaic of our communal life. Thank you for your generosity and the renewed energy it brings to our shared spiritual home. We will now both give and receive our offering. in an affirmation of our faith. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in history and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. Please be seated. Welcome. We're happy that you are with us today in this room or joining us remotely. We are pleased to have guests with us. Our members would like to greet you personally following the service. So if you are visiting, please raise your hand and keep it up. Members, take note of visitors seated near you. After the service, invite them to join you for coffee and conversation in Freeman Hall. Should it enhance your experience of future services, we offer large print orders of service, personal hearing assistance devices, and have an elevator available as well. If you'd like to learn more about us, please fill out a yellow card and give it to one of the ministers at the door on your way out. Members with a life event to share can do so on the reverse side of the card. The cards and offering envelopes are on the clipboards at the end of your row. Please begin passing them now. Visitors interested in hearing about how to become a member can talk with our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. Her contact information is on the back of your order. Again, to each of you, welcome. If you would like more information about how to engage with the life of our congregation, you can look through the back of your order of service, explore our website, or subscribe to our weekly e-newsletter, Currents. It's my pleasure to invite Barry Arendt from our Focus 2020 task group to come forward to share an update with us.
Good morning. In the spirit of this day, I need you all to survive. But I am here today because I chair a task group of 6 UUCC members charged with guiding us through a process of reconsidering the name of this congregation. We announced 2 weeks ago a series of interactive dialogues on this subject beginning later this month. If you are not already familiar with our plans, here are some details. We are working with a consultant, Dr. Leon Spencer, a longtime Unitarian Universalist leader, to help us launch this process of re-examining our name. We'll be asking you to consider whether our name still reflects the mission and vision of this congregation, and if not, how do we want to be known? Our goal is to engage as many members as possible in these dialogues over the next few months. To be clear, it takes a 2/3 vote in a congregational meeting to change our name. Whether we change or not, the task group plans to refresh our branding and signage and begin a marketing effort. The 6 of us on the task group have committed to put aside personal opinions about keeping or changing the name and to ask good questions, listen, and respond to what you tell us along the way. We will begin the interactive dialogues in 2 weeks, so please plan to join us either Saturday, September 21st at 10 a.m. or Sunday, September 22nd at 1 p.m. These initial meetings will be followed by several other opportunities for your voice to be heard. Keep an eye on our weekly newsletter, Currents, our Facebook member page, and your email for updates. This is about making sure that what we call ourselves authentically reflects our identity, our purpose, and our values. Please participate in this critically important process. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Members, September is going fast, and tomorrow is the deadline to indicate your interest in participating in either the racial justice or environmental justice core group. And you can click the link in Currents or sign up at the adult programming table in Freeman Hall to let us know you are interested. We hope to see you following the service, staying a little longer in Freeman Hall to enjoy the potluck. And later this evening, everyone is welcome to round out Sunday with an evening worship service here in the sanctuary. We are sending love to Aaron and Gilbert Bailey as their family mourns the death of Aaron's father. Whatever remembrance, joy, or sorrow you carry with you this morning, may you feel held by this community.
The table before us now is a beautiful tapestry of what we each hold most dear. As you depart in a few moments after the choir sings one more time, I invite you to come and take a look at what we've created together. And then I invite you to take an object from this table, whether it's the one you put on the table or a different one, recognizing that now each of these objects is influenced and carries the power of all of us together.